Okay, so hi, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another Eight Letters Book Launch. I'm your host for today, Cindy Wong, and we have an amazing author joining us for today. It's none other than Miss Leila Rispens Noel, and we'll be talking about her book, Beyond the Bansalan Skies. I've been working with Mom Laila for the past several months. Firstly, it was for the book, The Diaspora Journey. If you've heard about it, here at Eight Letters, we've actually posted some promotional materials here. It is a story of it actually consists of stories of Filipino migration to Hong Kong. But this time, we'll be talking about her memoir, Beyond the Bansalan Skies. And from the words of Miss Hedda Byron, this memoir will take us through a gritty and inspiring journey of a young girl who pushed beyond the limitations of birth to make a difference in the lives of countless people around the world. While hers is not a shocking confessional or road to success type of memoir, her story resonates with many because of its universal themes of family, community, friendship, and perseverance. Tightly written, Lila's story is riveting, and you'd want to cheer for this brave and indomitable lady as she finds her identity and purpose in the world. What you'll find here today are pre recorded videos because Mom Lila is currently in the Netherlands, but you'll definitely find her answers authentic. So you won't find much difference. Okay, and by the way, Mom Lila will be answering um comments or questions in the comment section. Okay, I first met Mom Lila about 3 to 4 years ago when I took a program in Hong Kong called the Ateneo Leadership and Social Entrepreneurship program. And I definitely learned a lot from her. Firstly, there's the handling of finances to starting your own business. So, yes, you'll definitely learn a lot from her. So maybe I'll talk a little bit more about her bio and about her background. Okay, Lila Rispens Noel co-founded Wimler Philippines in 2006 and Wimler Foundation Hong Kong Limited in 2011. So if you'll check wimler.org, you'll find lots of students, marami na tayong na-send to marami na napag-aral, marami ng uh, nasa through the Wimler Foundation. So she previously served as senior advisor to INAFI International, a network of over 300 microfinance institutions in Latin America, Asia, and Africa until 2012. And then she also earned her bachelor's degree in commerce with a major in accounting from Holy Cross of Davao College in Davao City. Her fields of interest are migration, development, and remittances. So, marami-rami pa yan, mahaba-haba pang background yan, but I just um, pointed out some of the highlights um, about her. So, kailangan nyo talagang mabasa mo yung libro niya, before to get to know her well. Okay. Okay, when we talk about writing a memoir, there are many reasons why one should write a memoir. I think I want to thank also for Emerald Blake of Pen Masters League for helping us out in shaping the memoir. Actually, there are a whole lot of team helping who help out in creating this book. Okay, going back to the memoir, okay, it helps you identify the threads and themes in your life. So if you've noticed here at Eight Letters, we actually I'm lagging. Okay, I think it's okay. Yeah, we've published quite a few memoirs here, and we also had workshops. Yeah, workshops. Okay. Okay, let's see. Yeah, so your memoir contributes to recorded history and is your legacy to family, friends, and the world. And it provides a way to share your experiences, worldview, life lessons, and wisdom with others. Okay, so actually, yan yung first question ko kay Ma'am Laila. So, the first question was, what made you decide to finally write your memoir? So are you guys ready? So Mom Lila will now join us here through the pre-recorded video. So why did she write the book Beyond the Bansalan Skies? Okay, take it away, Mom Lila.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you, Cindy. My name is Leila Rispens Noel. I wrote Beyond the Bansalan Skies. I have been asked why I finally decided to write my memoir. It was like this. When my oldest son, Michael, was still, I think, 3 years old, he had a lot of questions from me. Mama, where is Bansalan located? Are there monkeys in Bansalan? How many brothers and sisters do I have? And so many things, and I tried to answer him. But at the time, I was already writing my journals. In fact, I started writing journals way back in 1969. So I just jot down all his questions and I answered him. And then I realized he's 3 years old. Would he remember when he is already grown up? Will he ask the same questions when he's already grown up? So I thought I'll start writing my answers to him, and hopefully one day I can give him my writings. But I always dreamed to write. When I was still young, I always dreamed to be a writer. But I became so busy with so many things. And so when COVID-19 happened, the pandemic, since 2020, I found out I had plenty of time. And what should I do while there is a lockdown? So I started reading my journals. And then memories came back, what I did when I was still a child, what I did when I was still in high school, and especially what I did when I was 19 years old. And that was a kind of turning point of my life. And then I remember my old colleagues when I joined the youth activism. I remember Zion, I remember Noel, Romy, Idoy, a lot of friends which I lost contact. I lost contact with them so many years, more than 35 years. So what I did is I tried to Google for their names in Facebook, look for their family names, hoping to reconnect with them. And then in February this year, I finally found a contact, a way to reach them. I started with Romy, and then I found out that his wife is in Cebu, and then the next I looked for Noel, and then the last one was Zion. I was so sad to hear that the three of them are already dead, which I did not know. So I realized that in our group, at least in the four of us, I am the only living person here and who can tell our stories. So I decided finally, I said, the three of them are gone. So who would tell our story? So that was actually the reason why I wrote my memoir. Firstly, for my children, for my family, but mostly for myself, because I feel that it is my moral obligation and my duty to write about what happened, since nobody is doing it and nobody is writing it for us. So that's how I came with the book. And I started actually in February this year, but I had so many resources, but more than half of them are from my memories. especially that when I learned that Noel died of Alzheimer's and he forgot everything. He can even not remember the names of his family. I thought before that thing happened to me, I should write down what I have in my mind.
Okay, thank you so much, Ma'am Lalay, for that wonderful answer. Okay, sorry, pang Miss Universe. But yes, I think maraming makaka-relate. Lalo na nowadays, with the pandemic going on, we have so much time in our hands, and there's definitely the time to go through old journals, old diaries, and it's time to reflect. And I'm sure, with the type of person that is Ma'am Lalay, I'm sure there's so much things to reflect. From your childhood, from nabasa ko nga yung memoir, it actually tells a lot. Tells the story from the beginning. And it's very entertaining then in a way. And sabi nga dito, it's an inspiring memoir. So now let's go to the second question, which is, um, where is Bansalan actually? What is so special about Bansalan that you can find anywhere else in the Philippines? And should people visit Bansalan? Okay, so from what I've heard so far, Bansalan is located in the foot of Mount Apo, okay, in Davao. So I will have Ma'am Lalay tell you more about Bansalan, and hopefully after or upon hearing this, you'll find the time to visit it after the pandemic. So what's so special about Bansalan, Ma'am Lalay?
What is special in Bansalan? Oh, I think that question is, I might be very subjective. For me, every village, town, or cities in the world is worthwhile visiting. It is enough for you to make memories on the places that you visit. But particularly Bansalan, I am definitely, absolutely proud of Balutakay. Balutakay is a barangay located near the slope of Mount Apo. There, thanks to development, the road is better. It's already concrete road. Cars, motorcycles, bicycles, mountain bikes could reach there. Walking, you can also walk from the town to Balutakay. There are already several mountain resorts built there during the last 5 years. And each resort offer different kinds of amenities and activities. There are those who are more adventurous. They can go on horseback riding. This is a small zip line, small. But some now built possibility of camping. You can stay overnight or a few nights, and then you can have your barbecue or bonfire. You can go mountain climbing, you can go trekking, mountain biking. And also in that place, located our famous producer of Arabica coffee. Bansalan is a producer of award-winning nationally and internationally coffee. It is being planted there, and then the women farmers harvest them and process them into coffee powder, and they market it already worldwide. No, mostly United States. I don't like to exaggerate, and outside Bansalan, locally, and in Manila too. So it is a growing industry. It is a growing industry. It has been extinct in the year 60s and 70s. Coffee was already not planted by the people, but since the last 10-15 years, there was a revival. We have also here an integrated farm run and managed by Ben Lau, who planted several herbs, and then they process them into tea, like ginger tea, turmeric tea, moringa tea, and they make, they were the first one in our place, in our province, I think, to process coconut sugar. So these are gems to be found in my place. But for typical tourists maybe they will not find beach in our place. We don't have, Bansalan is landlocked. But if you are like me, or just enjoy sitting, I mean, sometimes I go to Balutakay, just wake up early in the morning, sit in cold weather, and watch the mountain, watch the sunrise, and imagine that I can touch the white clouds, which is very very low. They touch the earth. When you look at the clouds, they touch the fields, and then you just imagine you're touching them, and that's how that every person has a way of spending sightseeing or visiting places. But for me, I think any place in the world would be special because you make your own memories. So if you come to Bansalan, let me know, and then let's try if we can make memories together and enjoy our eco tourism in the area.
Okay, so ako lang ba yung invited diyan, Ma'am Lalay, or ini-invite mo yung buong lahat ng nanonood sa atin ngayon? Marami-rami 'yan. But yes, so I'll definitely put Bansalan in my bucket list upon hearing all of these beautiful things about Bansalan. So sabi niyo kanina may kape and yeah, I'm sold. Yes, please. Please take me to Bansalan. Okay, so I think one of the most intriguing things about this book is the title itself. The title is Beyond the Bansalan Skies. So I think this third question is so relevant kasi we want to know, why do you think, Ma'am Lalay, why do you think people should go beyond their current skies? Wow, 'di ba? Ang lalim 'yan, pang Miss Universe na question 'yan. Why should people go beyond their current sky? Because aminin na natin, maraming tao ngayon, or they would opt to choosing one place, staying in one place for the rest of their life. Hindi na sila, it doesn't mean na they're not progressing. It doesn't mean na they're not going anywhere, but they just choose to stay there. Pero let's have a look at the opposite side of the spectrum. Like, why do people should insist in going beyond like where they are right now?
Why do I think people should go beyond their current skies? I think it is not an easy answer, a question to answer. It is because people create their own skies. I mean, some are comfortable where they are now. Some wanted to widen their skies. Some might be more literally a larger sky where they travel to many countries. When I titled my book Beyond the Bansalan Skies, in fact, I formulated that already when I was still in elementary. I enjoyed watching the moon and the stars. And then in 1969, I heard over the radio that Neil Armstrong walked in the surface of the moon. And so I asked myself, I am in Bansalan and I seldom go out to the next town, even to the city. I don't travel that much. And so I asked myself, while watching at the moon, could I also travel beyond the Bansalan Skies? That's just a question. And at the same time, probably a wish, which at that time, when I was still young, I didn't know how to answer it. I don't know how large is my sky, how far is my sky, how expansive is my sky. But I just to say, can I go beyond the Bansalan Skies, just on top of me? I think that is a kind of a metaphor. People must go beyond and dream beyond what they have. I was born, fortunately, that I was not just contented with what I am, where I am, and I always wanted to do something extraordinary. Although at the time I really don't know what extraordinary. It is more fantasy. I fantasize that I walk, I trek the where the Miral River started, and I want to find out how it ended, and I want to discover what are the secrets of the river. What would I found out in the river? I just written. I mean, I was in Bansalan and I was young, but my spirit flies very far, anywhere, anywhere, and in my imagination, I just said, I just wanted to discover. And sometimes your discovery need not to be physical. Sometimes discovery is yourself from your mind, and my skies sometimes are in my mind. It's not the literally the sky, but it is in my mind how far I can go beyond what is in my mind. And at that time when I was young, I didn't even know that I will realize all those fantasy. Now, there are many fantasies that I did not realize. I was thinking also at that time, I wanted to be like Florence Nightingale. I want to be a nurse in a war zone area because I was inspired with the life of Florence Nightingale. Aside from going to the river, I wanted to do this, I wanted to do that. But when you were young and you were poor, you don't even know if you can finish your high school. But I continued thinking beyond my Bansalan Skies, beyond Leila Skies. And I think every person should do that. Go out of the box. Do something that you always wanted to do. No matter how long you can achieve it, just go always for that dream. I am an example, a living example of that. My dream realized only many, many years later, and I didn't even know that I will realize it. I finished my high college education after 5 years of being dropped out. I got my master's degree when I was already 63 years old, and I wrote my first book, and I am already 69 years old. So, go beyond your skies. Beyond your skies. Go beyond what is this in your head. Go out of the box. And even if you think that you will not achieve it, just continue dreaming for it and doing and trying to achieve it. And that's why I am so jealous about young people like you. I'm this group of 8 letters. I notice that most of you are young people, and I wish I had a chance like you when I was young to be able to write a book, poetry, or whatever, and artwork. And at that time, in my generation, I was not able given the opportunity. When I was 19, and we were already demonstrating in the streets because we were born under martial law, and there were so many things that we would set aside. But after, when life becomes a bit normal, at least for me, even in my old age, I still continue to expand my skies. And that is, I think, why I titled also my book, Beyond the Bansalan Skies. It is a kind of a metaphor for me, that there are things in life that you can achieve if you go out of the box.
Okay, so hindi lang pala okay, just a moment. Okay, so hindi lang pala literal na going beyond the Bansalan Skies. Hindi ko po yung nagets. Okay, Ma'am Lalay, grabe. It's very inspiring. It's actually a metaphor beyond the Bansalan Skies. Y- okay, aminin ko, hindi ko pinakinggan yung sagot niyo before showing this video. But now that I'm listening to it, grabe. Because I'm I'm going through postpartum then. I just gave birth a month ago, and sometimes yung negative things, it overtakes, or it conquers your mind. But upon hearing what you said today, going beyond, starting from what you're thinking, or fantasize, or at least imagining, um, you'll definitely go beyond. Kasi naalala ko rin yung nabasa ko before na quote, no? Whatever it is that you're thinking, your it will affect your words, and then it will affect your actions, and then it will affect, of course, your future. So grabe, ang heavy ng ng question na yon. So I hope you guys are inspired to, upon hearing what Ma'am Lalay said, na-inspired kayo na to go beyond your own skies. Not literally, doesn't have to be literally. You don't have to travel all the way to Bansalan, all the way to other parts of the world, but just going beyond kung ano man yung kinatatayuan nyo ngayon. Kung gusto nyo naman talaga na mangyari ang isang bagay, then there's definitely a way for it. Okay, so, okay, we're not done yet. Okay, so we still have a few more questions for Ma'am Lalay. Thank you, by the way, to all those who are tuning with us today. So maybe I can read a few comments here. So there's Emerald. Hello, Miss Lila Response Noel, and hi, Cindy Wong. Hi, Emerald. Coach Emerald, thank you for staying with us. And yeah, so kanina nag-comment si Alan. Hi, Alan. Wala daw sounds. Okay, Mary Joyce. Shout out to Madam Mary Joyce Solpico. Um, and then there's Maria Rowena Sanchez. Congratulations again. Ordered my copy and looking forward to reading your book soon. Yes. So nasa printing na po siya. Yung first batch na-dispatch na to the Netherlands. And then yung yeah, second printing na yung book, and then by the way, Beyond the Bansalan Skies would be available in the Manila International Book Fair sale. So that's so exciting, di ba? First book ni Ma'am Lala, and then it will be available for in this upcoming book fair. Okay. So who else is here? We also have Joe Bacalo. Ma'am Lalay, please share the pre-recorded video. Yes, don't worry. This is a video. This will be a recorded video naman. So even if you can't watch all the way through, mapapanood nyo pa rin siya at sa aming 8 letters page. Okay, so we also have here um, Roseville, hi, Ma'am Lalay, and Cindy Wong. Nice to see you both. Nice to see you too. And of course, here's Mr. Edgardo Valenzuela. Bravo, Lalay. Okay, who else? Yeah, so Mary Joyce again. So inspiring. Thank you for sharing. And who else? Yeah, so nandito din si Sheka. So hi, Eka. Hope you're doing well. Yes. So, okay, ready na ba tayo sa fourth question? Okay, marami-rami pa to. Okay, but um and later on we'll have Ma'am Lalay also reading some of the excerpts para naman, you'll get a glimpse. Okay. So, my fourth question for you, Ma'am Lalay, is what is the challenging part of writing this book? Because we all know na mahirap naman talaga magsulat ng memoir. Alam mo yun. Lalo na, I think one of the topics before that we discussed is facing your truth. And I think naging parte yun ng process natin, facing your truth. Ano ba talaga yung gusto mong maipalabas dito sa iyong memoir. Okay, so what is the most challenging part of writing this book? Okay, we'll have Ma'am Lalay answer that question right now.
Um, the challenging part in writing the book is not so much about what I'm going to write because my memories were overflowing. There were so many memories to write about, and just selecting the portions of my life that could, that could make a coherent book was very difficult. what part of my life, what part of my memories I should include in the book, because there's so many. In the beginning, I thought I would just write about my childhood, but no matter how poetic and interesting my childhood was, uh, for me it was not complete. It was not me, you know. At least there are my life, if yes, three parts: my childhood, including high school years, my youth activism, and then what I am now. I just want to have a picture of that. So I tried to pick some portions of my journals to be included in the book so that I can weave the story. But as I said, it is not the memories. It is not what I'm going to write that is difficult. What is difficult is my lack of confidence. I don't have confidence in my writing skills. Um, I write reports. I write project proposals, usually technical. Um, I write essays, but it's not something, a book that could interest the readers other than yourself. So it was for me. I felt so ashamed to share what I have written, share with others. But I took courage in asking Cindy that I'm looking for a mentor to help me finish a book. So she introduced me to Emerald Blake, and I took some mentoring coaching lessons from her. And I also made my own additional self study. There are plenty of them in the internet. And the first time I sent my manuscript to Emerald. Actually, I was so embarrassed about my grammar, embarrassed how I wrote my thoughts. But she encouraged me to continue writing, and so with Cindy. And so I suddenly, not suddenly, but I took courage in asking Carl Gaspar, my longtime friend in Davao City, and showed to him my manuscript unedited. And when he finished reading, he said, "Very good, Lalay. Why? I am so happy," he said, "you wrote this. And you have to continue writing it. And just don't think about the editorial work. Just write and write until you finish the last chapter. And then you ask Marilyn, also my old, former colleague, to edit it." So I started writing, typing it, and just flowing. And then sometimes I rearrange the paragraphs, transfer it to one chapter to the other. And then I sent my manuscript to Len Abisamis. I got a very encouraging reaction from her, but at the same time, some suggestions on how to improve it. Emotionally, it was difficult for me because I was writing events in my life which involved people, friends, and I should be very careful in in writing about them. I must be very factual. So I open most of the time. I review my diary. My diary is very 18 years old, 19 years old, writing a diary. Sometimes the grammars are full of mistakes, and but the thoughts are there. I can even check the dates where it happened, how it happened, who were involved. So it really helps me a lot. It really helps me a lot. So the difficulties in writing a book is it is not, is that a fiction. Fiction, you can you know float your ideas, write anything that comes to your mind that would make a very interesting, compelling book. But a memoir is something you have to take into consideration. Should I write the real name of the person, or should I mention the name of the person? So I should be very selective. I also see that I don't hurt people. And gladly in my life, there are no people that hurt me. My memoir is not something that, an event, or because of someone I became sad, I can become miserable or not. My memoir is something that because of other people, my life is being enriched. And that is an easy part in writing my memoir. Because in my life, I think once or twice only that I experienced painful experience, except the death of my father. But pain in the sense that it is caused by someone else. Uh, I am lucky. I don't have that. Um, Maybe I experienced pain. It's because it's my own doing, not because of other people. So when I started writing it, I put a lot of names, and then Carl said, you put a lot of names, and then maybe did you ask permission from them? I said, Carl, most of them are already dead. Yeah, how can I ask them? But then I thought maybe the families would not be happy about if I wrote about them. So when the book is already in the final stage, I started asking people, what do you think? What do you think of this? It's very encouraging. In fact, some of them, when they heard that I wrote the memoir about this event, said, "You should be sure to include the name of my father. That is the legacy for us, and that is the request from us, heirs of my father. They wanted to mention him." And some said, "We have to mention some names because uh, uh, they are unknown, and they did a great, they offered their lives, so they should be mentioned. They are also heroes, maybe unknown heroes." So that's it. That is the most difficult thing I encountered while writing the book. But I also writing, I am someone, I can write about events from my own observation, my own experience. But when it comes to feelings, I am a bit reserved. So Cindy one time told me, Sarah, it's just like your marriage to him is just like bumagsak, binagsak mo from langit. Describe a little bit about it, but I am not a romantic type, I mean, my book is not a romance, so I avoided writing about courtship, but then aside from Cindy, Carl said the same thing. Why don't you write about your husband, what he did, how did you develop your relationship? I said, "Oh, sure, I will not write about my relationship. That is private for me, personal." But I tried in my I tried in that book, describing a little bit about how we developed our relationship, and up to the time that we got married, etc. But um, describing it in a romantic way, I find it difficult to do it. I am very private about that thing. In fact, the truth is, there are some things that I did not include it because I do not like the book to waylay from my idea of describing my hometown, the youth activism, and what we are doing now. I just wanted to portray um, why I am involved in social development, and it is not much about my private lives. I think maybe it's another book in the form of a fiction. Yeah. So that's it. The challenging part is to gain confidence that you can write a book. And if you don't have confidence, ask help from many people, and you will be surprised. There are so many people who are willing to help you. And that's what I did in this book. In fact, now that some friends of mine know that I am writing a book, they come to offer me help, this and this and that. Remind me that you did not mention this name, you have to include it. And then others, especially Agnes, is helping me with the last part of the book, the proofreading, and checking the grammar which I missed, and I am really very helpful. I'm very helpful to my editor, Len, as a developmental editor. She gave me some structure on my book, how to include, how to rearrange the segments. So that's it. And I think for aspiring writers like me is to overcome the fear, and that you think that the book will not be bestseller. But I don't also think that my book will become a bestseller, and in the first place I write it for myself and for my family and closest friend. And of course, I wanted to write a good book so other people will read it, and I hope even a little bit, they would like the book, and that is good enough for me.
Okay, thank you, Ma'am Lalay, for that insight. Just a little bit of a workshop here. When you write a nonfiction book or when you write your memoir, the difference with writing a memoir versus writing a fiction book is that kailangan, there are different truths kasi. There's your truth, there's the other people's truth, and then there's the truth. So you have to stay objective then when you're writing it, and of course you have to ask permission from those people na i-mention nyo yung pangalan kasi pwede kayong makasuhan doon kung hindi, if you're going to write bad stuff, or if people prefers to be prefers to remain private, ayaw nilang tawag dito, ayaw nilang ma-mention yung mga pangalan nila, then they'd rather, maybe you can use a another name, fake name for them. um, there you have it. So yeah, so that's the challenging part in writing this book. And also na mention din kanina ni Ma'am Lalay na uh, yung yung mga mga editing na kailangan gawin when it comes to writing your book. So yes, there's the developmental editing. Then there's the copy editing. Where you talk, where you spot um tawag dito yung mga grammatical errors, and then there's also there's also the okay, let me just show myself, hold on. Okay. um And then there's also the proofreading itself, like ensuring na wala talagang mali sa isang libro. So as you can see, napakadami or napakaraming steps kailangan nating pagdaanan para lang makapag-produce tayo ng isang libro, and hindi siya basta-basta. So yeah, and of course, if you need help, you can always approach us here at Eight Letters. Just send us a message. Our coaches are ready to help you. Okay, so now let's talk about. So we've talked about the challenging part of writing the book. So how about naman yung favorite part in the book, ha, Ma'am Lalay? So ano naman po yun? Oops.
What is the more favorite part of the book? That's not easy to answer because I have so many favorite parts in my book. Childhood and high school, funny, and the time of youth activism, and then by the time I was abroad, they're so interesting. But I think personally, personally, chapters 10 to 12 would be my favorite parts, not part, but parts of the book. Because chapter 10 to 12, that was the time that I was 19 years old. And the chapter 12, when I was 20 years old. That 1 year, 2 years in my life was a kind of a turning point. And that was the part when I joined youth activism, and then at the time, I mean, I was in the countryside, and the time that I was in martial law. Why is it my favorite part? Because at the young age, I found that I realized only now that I had a unique youth, and not only me, but many many people of my age at the time live in a very uh, unique period of our history. Unique because that was the time that the martial law was declared, and we have to make life-changing situations. And I think looking back, uh, while we live an enriching life, I felt that I also miss
Mm.
a part of youth. You know, to be happy, to be outgoing, to be with your friends, walking around without thinking about safety, without thinking of being arrested, without thinking about where will you sleep that evening. I mean, if you compare your life today and the time we lived at that time, it was be very different. So I will always remember that, and I am pleased that despite the sad memories, I was able to write it. Um, in that chapters 10 and 12, I mentioned a few people that really affected my life, and that was my favorite part because I was 19, and you enter the age of maturity when you become, you started feeling attracted and to opposite sex, but at the same time you are very vulnerable. It was my favorite part because in that chapter, especially chapter 11, um, without knowing it, I actually made already a decision, and it was a decision that I will forgo having serious relationships. I will forgo. I will not marry early. I will. I want to do something. Not even thinking of postpone marriage, postpone relationship, because I wanted to still follow my dream. I think that was for me the most uh, poignant part of the book. At my young age, I was able to decide uh, now what to do with my life. When I was a child, I was happy-go-lucky. But then, when I was 19 and 20, that was the time that I said, this is the kind of life I wanted to do. And I forgot other things. It was also the part
Mm.
that especially in chapter 10 or 11, our conversation with Zion, that made me realize that um, I was at the verge of making a decision, or postponing a decision. Should I followed my emotion, I could have a different pathways today. And I had no regret actually that I made a decision, because some people telling me what to do. This is what is here, what is what to do, this is what I must do. But I choose my own decision, and that is to be active in the movement. And even that means I have to leave my family, I have to sacrifice my friendship with other people. But I wanted to do something at that time for my country, and the only thing that I can do is to devote my time, my life, my attention to the movement. It was a very difficult decision, but probably a foolish part of my life. But I had no regrets. I had no regrets. It is I had given a chance to do something for my country, although not much compared with others. But to me, I believe I give the best I can for my country at the time, and in my later years, defined me on what to do and how I can help my country. But this is the favorite part. Of course, I also have some nostalgic feeling about my relationship with my father. And in the book, you will read why I love my father so much, and why I have hate love relationship with my mother. But at the end, it ended up a kind of respect for my mother, after all what she did for us after my father died. So I think you have to read the book to be able to understand what I said, and the nuances. And as I said, at the age of 19, 20, that was my turning point of my life, and that is the part of the book that I really enjoyed, I not enjoyed, I really put myself, my emotions, my feelings in writing it.
Okay, thank you, Ma'am Lalay. I would say the same thing. These are also my favorites, favorite parts of the book. Yes, sobrang ano, when you talk about your childhood, relationship with your father and your mother, there are so many good things inside, and I would agree na hindi ka magsusulat ng memoir just because galit ka sa isang tao, 'di ba? So, um hindi rin naman or gusto mo maghigante sa isang tao. And I'm so glad to hear na na you didn't the reason why you wrote this memoir is because aside from having that legacy, there's also um how should I put it, there's also like how you can pay it forward, or how you can this is how you paano ba, yeah, this is how you pay forward, or this is how you tell people na your life was enriched because of these people. So okay, we're down to three questions for you, Ma'am Lalay, and thank you again for those who are still tuning in here in the book launch of Beyond the Bansalan Skies. Okay, so my sixth question, okay, is that so Ma'am Lalay, would you recommend people to write their memoirs too? And what do you need to be equipped with? Yes. So okay, so that is another question for you. So again, would you recommend people to write their memoirs? As I've mentioned earlier, we've done a lot of memoirs here, but I think Beyond the Bansalan Skies is so special, and it's something that you guys should read. Okay. Okay. Let's see from Mam Lalay here. So, why is it important, or would you recommend people to write their memoirs as well?
I would highly recommend to people writing a memoir. Uh, Not necessarily to publish it right away. Just write. Just write. Write your thoughts. But I think for me, I started writing diaries, journal, and that's enough. I mean, the younger you start writing journals, the better, because like me, you'll never know you will need it in the later years. Some people say also that memoirs are only for great people, famous artists, singers, politicians. But I think for us, every ordinary people like us, we should write our memory, our memoir. But sadly, in our country, uh, students or children are not trained to write diaries and journals. I think it should be included in the school. We had before in high school writing theme books. I really write. I really like writing, the themes, about how I spent my summer vacation, about this, about my trip to, about that. I think it's good to be trained how to write. And as since history, uh, uh, written history is important to not only great histories for national or international purpose, but history for your own family, so that, like in my case, for my grandchildren and for the next generation of the Noel, at least they know the past. I am so sorry that I cannot tell a story about my grandfather on the father's side, for instance. I have no stories about him. And the life of my father was very scanty. I don't know what he did when he was in elementary, when he was a young boy. And I did not bother to ask him, Papa, what you did before. You know, for educated people, it's easy because they have records of their diploma, they have records of the schools or employment. But in the case of my father, who did not finish high school, there is no diploma to proceed. And he works as a mechanic. Ah, what, what kind of achievement do you write about a mechanic? But it is only when I was an adult, when I understand the type of work my father is doing, and I can describe exactly how important the work he was doing. So I hope really, and I encourage people to write. In my case, it is cathartic. There's so many things in my head. My memories, as if I'm carrying a heavy burden of memories that I have to carry on my shoulder. That I have also said, I have to tell this story, and it is my duty to tell this story.
Mm. Right.
Unload all those heavy memories in me. In fact, I'm feeling better now. I am like, I think I have done the best I can for my friends who died before me, and I was able to tell about what happened. And looking back, the early first chapters of my book, I think I did a good thing to describe about Bansalan, because Bansalan in the 60s is not the same as now. And the younger generation will not even recognize what I wrote. And for people of my generation, I'm sure they will read it with nostalgia, because I wrote about the river, about our schools, about what we did when we were young, when with gadgets, television were not still uh, present, and the only thing what you can do is to play under the moonlight, and that was a great memory that we made. We fetch water 5 kilometers from our houses. Before we can cook, we have to go to the forest to gather firewood, and these are the things that would not be happening now, except probably in the still in the villages, that life is still the same like in the 60s. But for us, I'm the book is really written for 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 memories to keep. So, our younger generation in the family, when they ask what I did when I'm already gone, what I did, they can, their parents can tell, read the book of your Lola, relative, your auntie, and if there are people about, do you think is Bansalan about in 1960s? They said, well, there is a book beyond the Bansalan Skies that you can read about. But more than that is more on the personal experience, the enriching experience of to be able to write about yourself, about the people you love closest to you. And I am aware that a memoir can carry a vast of 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 subjects. And aside from celebrities, some people write their memoirs about their addiction period, when they were addicted to drugs, or they have problems with the authority. Sad experience. That is important, because by writing a memoir, it is cathartic. But I think if you have a happy childhood, if you have a happy youth, I think it is also good to write about, because life is not only full of sadness, but most especially it is also full of happiness that you have just maybe taken care of. Like in my case, I find joy in gathering firewood in the forest. It was a joy to be pushing the car to fetch drinking water. It was a joy to be swimming in the river, not in the swimming pool in an exotic beaches. Those small tiny things that happened in my childhood, that makes happy memories on my part. So, what are your memories of the generation to come? Your memories is playing computer games. Well, what else? What kind memories that can you build up? But I'm sure every generation can write their own memories, whatever it is. Like in my case, I can write about that the technology. I have a hard time, coping up with technology, Zoom meetings, etc. These are really new things, gadgets. But for millennials, these are just ordinary things. So I wonder what they write about 20 years from now about their experience in technology. So write, just write your diary. If you don't write, you don't need to write a full book right away. But those diary and journals would be a gold mine when you start thinking of writing your own memoir. In my case, so what tool, what do you need? Memories, good memories. Write when your memories are still working. Write everything what you notice, and it's up to you when you start writing your memoir to select what you think would be included in the book. My case, I wrote everything. I wrote about when I am angry, when I am sad. I wrote about people that I met. I wrote about what I saw. I just wrote everything in my journals. How I felt when I was walking alone, hiking in the countryside. I noticed a pig. I noticed this. I just wrote them in my journals. And they're very simple things. And I thought it was crazy to be writing about inconsequential things, I mean. But now I realized that uh, I was observant. I noticed how people work and wrote about it, how I interact with other people. And when I arrive at home, I write about how I felt after meeting such a person. So that was my diary. Aside from mentioning about dates, I mentioned about what happened during the day, how I felt, why I was happy, why I was angry. The angrier I am, the sadder I am, the more I can write about it. Because I was the type of person that if I am sad, I don't like to talk about it. So instead of talking about it with somebody else, I write down my feelings, my emotions, my sadness, and I describe why I was sad. Example. And then the journals just piled up. And then today, 2021, I decided to write my memoir. I just opened my box of journals, started reading it and selecting what I wanted to include it. So that's it. Uh, uh, right. I hope the young people will start writing about it. And Facebook is also good when you say, post something. That's a good, as long as you write something that can have some impact, later on. Be observant of what's going on around you. And you might not be right, but that is your opinion. I am not always right. When I say something, that is my own interpretation, but who can tell me that I am wrong? I mean, that is how I see things. And if you don't like it, I cannot help it. But later on, when you read what you wrote, you can get insights, and you can understand your emotion at the time. When I wrote, I have to confess that when I started reading my diary, I tear some pages, because I thought they should not be there. So that's how I began. I sometimes I'm so honest about my feelings, about, so sometimes when I read the diary, I tore them. I take them out from the book. But there are still plenty that remains, which become the basis of my book. And my youngest son, told me, Mama, I like your book, but I wish you write longer, the chapters about Netherlands and Hong Kong. So I told him, those chapters about Holland and Hong Kong are just teasers. Because if I write longer, that would be a very thick book, and nobody will read a thick book. So I hope in my next project, I would write a memoir, or a fiction, probably depends on how I will present it. My 30 years experience in the Netherlands and 4 years experience in Hong Kong. So after Beyond the Bansalan Skies, maybe there is still something that will follow.
Yes, so after Beyond the Bansalan Skies, we hope to read Beyond the Netherlands Skies and Beyond Hong Kong Skies too, Ma'am Lalay. So, okay, I think that will be a very interesting book. Okay, so something to do with your adventures in the Netherlands and also in Hong Kong. By the way, just some trivia. Um, these videos by Ma'am Lalay, they are pre-recorded videos in Davao while she's still in Davao. She's now currently she just flew to the Netherlands, okay, just a few days ago. And yeah, so by the way, I'm here. I'm your host, Cindy Wong, and I'm currently in Siberia. So we're all in the different parts of the world right now, and I think that's beautiful. Charot. Okay. So before we get to the next part or the last part of our interview sessions with Ma'am Lala, later on she's going to read some of the excerpts from her book. I'd like to share with you, that you can actually purchase the book. Okay, so if you prefer to, if you prefer the Kindle version, okay, so the Kindle version, the Amazon Kindle version, that will be available over the weekend, so that will go live on Amazon. But if you prefer the paperback copy, it's only 380 pesos. You can find it in Shopee, at 8 letter Shopee, and also in our website, 8lettersbooks.com/shop. Okay, 8lettersbooks.com/shop, or you can just send us a message here, uh, in our FB page if you want a copy of the book. It's only 380 pesos, and it is a thick book, and you'll find lots of insights, um a lot of valuable stories from Ma'am Lalay. Okay? So I'm sure may mga nag-order na rin sa amin, those who want to fill up their libraries in Davao. Thank you so much. Okay, so yeah, please do um, support this book, this amazing book. Okay, so Beyond the Bansalan Skies, it is a memoir by Ma'am Leila Rispens Noel. So it's only 380 pesos. So we'll have the ebook um, for Amazon Kindle that will be available soon over the weekend. Check it out. Okay, we'll post the link here at our FB page. And there's also the paperback copy. Okay, so there you have it. Um, okay, so what does the book look like? It looks like this. Okay, it's a thick book actually. It's about okay, hold on. Okay, I want to show you guys how it looks like. Okay, hold on. Okay, so siguro a little bit later na. I'm having some technical issues. But anyway, let's hear it from Ma'am Lalay to read us a few excerpts from her book, Beyond the Bansalan Skies.
For excerpts, I'd like to read. I want to select some chapters, but my story is my book is a story paragraphs of paragraphs. They are interrelated and it become too long. So I think I would choose to read chapter 18 because I think that sum up the book and it is a short chapter. Let me read about it. Chapter 18. Ciudad. When I left Davao in October 1979, I carried with me an extra suitcase full of memories. They were heavy, sometimes cumbersome, but I gladly carried them all. While making new memories in the Netherlands, the old memories remain vivid and refuse to fade away. From time to time, I opened the luggage of memories. If the sun was out, that sweltering summer day reminded me of my happy childhood, years when I swam in the Miral River. On long, dark winter nights, while sipping coffee and absent-mindedly gazing at the canals across our house, I reminisce my active years when I hiked from farm to farm over a muddy dirt road on rainy evenings. The faint, silent, flickering lamps in the farmhouses gave me a semblance of tranquility amidst a troubled time. In these villages, without warning, farmers were harassed or evicted. On daytime, the scenery of verdant hills and valleys, the sound of murmuring streams were enough to invigorate my flagging spirit. When night falls on full moons, I could see the shadows of the mountain in the distance. It is hard to believe. The life of the farmers living in these idyllic and charming villages is arduous and cumbersome. Every time I close my eyes and let my imagination run free, I could see people, places, and events that mark my life. I thought of Zion, Noel, Romy, Idoy, and other people I work with. I thought of Merle, who died during the raid in Davao Oriental. I still could feel regrets about failing to convince her to leave the camp before the raid. I remembered Papa, my family, and the hardships I had to endure to live a more meaningful life. The harder I tried to forget them, the more the vision of the past remained deeply engraved in my memories. I carry these memories, sad and happy, through the years. I was overwhelmed with mixed emotions, sadness, joys, longings, and regrets. I could not explain the intense feeling of wanting to see people, places, and events belonging to the past until I visited Portugal in 1980. So I skipped several paragraphs because it might be too long for you, and it is about the Portuguese and Brazilian word saudade, which means it describes as a feeling of longing, melancholy, desire, and nostalgia that is characteristic of the Brazilian or Portuguese temperament. It describes a deep emotional state, a yearning for happiness that has passed or perhaps never ever been existed. Saudade is nostalgic longing to be near again to something or someone that is distant or that has been loved and lost. The older I became, the more I think of the past than of the future. The more I learn about saudade, the more understood the knowing feeling I had. It was amazing to find the right name for this unexplainable feeling. So not to forget them, I wrote this memoir, including the short but intense period of folly, courage, sacrifices, and love of country. The story is better told with people whom I shared collective memories, but unfortunately, this would not happen anymore. I came back to my hometown after 34 years of wandering. With me is a heavier luggage full of memories. It's about time to lay down these memories in the proper place. Writing this memoir is a cathartic moment of events which transpired 50 years ago. Shudade. By telling my story, I felt I finally freed myself from the lingering intense loneliness. From time to time, I still look up at the stars, shining brightly at night, to say hello to my friends and pray they continue to watch over me. Thank you. Thank you, Cindy. Thank you all.
And thank you so much, Ma'am Lalay. That's a wonderful part of the book. By the way, I also have another favorite. Actually, I have a lot of favorites dito sa libro na to, no? But please do allow me to also share one of my favorite parts of the book. Ang daming pwedeng mabasa dito. Ang daming, you can just read the chapter by itself. You don't really have to read the entire thing. But of course, it will give you the full experience if you read the whole thing. Yeah, so sabi ko nga kanina, I want to share with you what the book looks like. It looks like this. This is how thick the book is. And yes, and to end this book launch, I'm going to read one of my favorite parts. Okay, so this is about one of Mom Lalay's childhood memories, okay, dito sa Beyond the Bansalan Skies. Okay, so here we go. On the day of our confession, I joined the long queue at the confessional box of Father Scott. I waited for my turn when suddenly my religion teacher asked several children to move to another confessional box because fewer children were there. It was unfortunate that when the teacher chose who should transfer, I was included. Nervously, I waited for my turn. I memorized the formula, including the sins I should tell the priest. While kneeling, I made the sign of the cross and started my first confession. The priest leaned his head awfully close to the rattan shingle partition that I could clearly see his ear. I noticed Father Pelletier had large ears. After my confession, the priest mumbled something inaudible. He talked in Cebuano, our local dialect, with a French accent, and I panicked. What did you say, Father? I desperately asked the priest, hoping he would repeat what he said. Instead of giving me an answer, he made a sign of the cross and abruptly closed the latticed opening. A rattan mat separated our faces. I kneeled for a moment and then realized my time was up. I did not hear what my penance was. I thought of telling my teacher what happened, but I was scared she would send me back to the confessional box, and the priest might recognize my voice and get upset. Since I did not hear exactly what my penance was, I prayed all the prayers I knew, including one round of the Holy Rosary. That will be enough for the sins I committed, I thought. To be sure, I asked some children what their penance was. It flabbergasted me when I heard that they only had to say one Hail Mary. Oh well, I was sure I prayed too much for my penance. After this incident, I started wondering how priests determine the kind of penance to give the penitent to earn forgiveness. How do priests weigh our sins? Okay, so there you have it. Again, thank you so much for tuning in here at the Eight Letters Bookstore book launch of Beyond the Bansalan Skies by Leila Spence Noel. Thank you so much for all those who commented, for those who tuned in all the way. Wow, it's been an hour and a half, by the way. Yes, so Ma'am Lalay, congratulations once again. And please, if you still don't have a copy yet of the book, um, it will be available at the Manila International Book Fair, plus at the Eight Letters Shopee, and also our bookstore website, bookstore, eightlettersbooks.com/shop. Or if it's too complicated, you can just send us a message here. So again, thank you so much. This is your host, Cindy Wong, and see you again next time. Actually, tomorrow we have another book launch tomorrow. See you again tomorrow. Bye.